It's a city that legalized all drugs. I don't know what the fuck, why it chose to do that. I don't know, man. But if I get rich, that's all I want to do. Just help these people because they deserve better. They don't really have a choice, if you know what I mean. Like they need to be given the opportunities to sort themselves out, but no one really wants to do it. None of the billionaires want to do it. But if I get rich, I'll definitely do it. I would love to. I want to.
This is Portland, Oregon, the city that decriminalized every drug. And this is Portugal, the country that also decriminalized every drug, but with insanely different results. What
Exactly. Exactly.
is the difference between Portugal's decriminalization and Portland's?
Well, the idea is legalize all drugs.
Why has Portugal had great success while Portland has failed?
Today, 2024, it's in people's faces.
Over the last year, I've documented the deadliest drug in human history, fentanyl, infiltrate nearly every major city in America from Honolulu, Hawaii, to Anchorage, Alaska, to Kensington, Philadelphia, with drug overdose becoming the #1 cause of death for Americans under the age of 40 in 37 states.
In the last 3 years, I've seen well over 200 people that I know personally die from fentanyl overdose. And it's almost everybody I know.
Yeah, now your son is fucking ODing in high school,
100%.
dead as shit, right?
Is he alive right now? Potential overdose. What can be done to stop this overdose epidemic? In 2020, Oregon passed Measure 110, decriminalizing the use and possession of all drugs, hoping it would help drug addicts feel more comfortable seeking treatment rather than hiding their drug addiction in the shadows in fear of being incarcerated. But in 2024, drug use and possession has been recriminalized and will take effect this September. Initially taking inspiration from the drug policy in Portugal, who claims to have solved their drug issues with decriminalization as a key part of their strategy, has made me wonder if there's something else Oregon's experiment was missing besides just decriminalizing drugs.
Nearly 4 years after Oregonians voted to decriminalize hard drugs, the move has ignited controversy. All sides admit something isn't working. The question is, what now?
Like, if you die in public, you should have to go to recovery. Like,
What do you got for sale? MDMA?
I thought you bullshit.
Droga.
Drogas.
Yeah, and make you lose your mind.
Okay.
So that is bad for health, man.
Oh man, I'm talking about like, there's volcanic activity and stuff like that and earthquakes.
Before I go to Amsterdam and Portugal to see what Oregon may have been missing and what the United States can learn, I went back to Portland to see what the locals and drug addicts think about recriminalizing the use and possession of these drugs. Let's talk to the public here, see what they think. As you can see right behind me.
I don't like seeing people running around smoking their tinfoil and
Right here. Is this a common occurrence?
every day. Incredible. I've been
feel absolutely wonderful at all times, 150 times more comfortable.
Got it.
and I'm an old hippie, you know, we used to get stoned and everything like that, but we were respectful.
People are doing it in a specific way where, like, look at that. It's getting to a point where it's like you can do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, we still over here working hard to get it. We all can be homeless. We all could be on these kind of things, but at the end of the day, we choose to get out and walk a certain way and carry ourselves. We all have the capabilities to be less than, but we're choosing, like, we're having a conversation, we're dressed a certain way.
It basically gave open rein for everybody to just do dope. I'm not saying prison or jail is an alternative or is the best solution. I don't know what the best solution is.
How has the open air drug use impacted your business, if at all?
People don't feel safe. People coming here, for example, like tourists, may think, oh, I'm not safe here. But I do feel like, like a lot cleaner here than a few years back. Like you would see feces on the ground.
When did you notice that change, if at all?
Since last year.
I think there are people who have straightened out their lives because of maybe a rude awakening that incarceration presented in their lives, but I know that it's a revolving door. I would rather see other approaches tried.
Do you think Portland had enough time to see the results that they were intending?
No, and I also think we're such a political hotbed, both just locally and nationally, that the atmosphere isn't appropriate for it. I think there's just too many ulterior motives. There's a lot of money to be made in the justice and criminal systems, as well as like the recovery systems, and like our culture is another variable that's not always perfectly transferable to a place like Europe either.
Do you think it's a good thing to be able to use drugs in public and not be charged? No?
No, hell no. To be honest, there's just smells like
I think it exacerbated it. I think that it just made it a lot. You started seeing more of it everywhere. Instead of being something people did, behind closed doors, it was out in the open. We were enabling and even promoting drug use. They could go to a number of different organizations, and get clean needles. And I understand the reasoning behind that. Sure. Clean needles, crack pipes, whatever you wanted, they'd hand it to you. But they weren't really giving them resources like this is where you can go if you want to get clean. And they weren't trying to help them get their lives back together so that they could have a good life and a quality of life. They were just enabling their drug use.
there needs to be consequences. If there's no consequences, then people are going to do whatever they want.
Is it dirtier or more clean in the last month out here in Portland?
And with us, with Central City Concern out here, it's cleaner.
And I just noticed this syringe drop box right there. Do you have to empty those?
Man, I got a syringe drop box right here.
Do people even use those, or do they just throw them on the ground?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that people do throw them on the ground, though. But they do a lot of, man, people look at these people like they like animals and shit. Man, it's not true, because a lot of them actually do have a little pride, man, as human beings, you know?
Bars? If that were a needle on the ground, you'd go.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Boom! Like needle fumble. This is happening everywhere, right?
It is.
Philly,
The
Kensington. You seen Skid Row and shit, man? Yeah. No, but today, 2024, it's in people's faces. Before they were able to point, right? Oh, look at all these drug addicts. Yeah, now your son is ODing in high school, 100%. Dead as shit, right?
When you tell people
son is ODing in
22 each week. Bro, 22 each week. 3 a day. Bro, that's like 1,000 a year. What? Just mad.
High school, 100%. Dead as shit, right?
When you tell people that, oh, hey, you know what? Yeah, you can go and shoot up on the street corner. Here's a foil, here's needle. Well, what just happened to all of our businesses that were here? I was born and raised here. Where's the tourism?
I feel like if they want to do it in their house, they should do it in their house, not here. Yeah, as long as it's not on my bus.
So let me ask you, on this bus, do you have people often walk in doing drugs?
No, they light up on the bus.
Do you have to do anything about it? Can you do anything?
We shut the bus down for 20 minutes.
Yeah? Does that vastly impede and slow down the flow of bus traffic in the city?
Yes. Takes me out of service.
It happens daily.
Matter of fact, when I left my apartment this morning and I was heading to go to an appointment, there's a guy, pants down, missing one shoe, needle in his arm, out.
Are you witnessing police officers come and say, hey, sorry, man, we got to give you a fine?
No. When I parked down here a couple weeks ago, there were a couple of guys just doing it right there, right on second, you know, that whatever that zombie drug is, like...
Strike?
Yeah. And you see it still openly.
And I walked up and I kicked his foot because I'm not going to touch him.
Make sure he's alive, right?
Yeah, make sure he's alive.
Sure.
No response. Called 911. 911 didn't show up. What they did was they sent this street mental health group,
Outreach group or...
whatever they are.
What did they do? Did they administer Narcan?
No, they didn't do anything. They walked up and they're like, hey. And he just happened to move his... I was standing there and he just happened to move his head. And she's like, oh, well, he's fine. And they got back in their van and left.
Sure.
What is that?
Would you suggest forcible rehabilitation? Is that a solution? Some people
I don't like the word forcible. You can't force anything on anyone.
And I'm just shocked at what Portland has turned into. It goes both ways, but it is a result of the opioid epidemic, and that goes back to the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors. They're just pushing that stuff on everyone,
As someone who works in a restaurant, it's terrible. Yeah. It affects business. It affects everything. Seriously. We had a guy come in one time. I kicked him out for wanting to do fentanyl in the bathroom. and he punched something off the wall, came back, and then threw poop on our window.
If they're going to recriminalize, is anyone going to go to jail from the Sackler family? You know, is anyone going to go to jail from the pharmaceuticals who started pushing this stuff? It's just a horrible situation.
I think decriminalizing it has definitely enabled people. You can see it. You see the overdoses, you know, the spike in fentanyl, you know, like Trank is a thing now. I mean, it's getting pretty serious. It's to be seriously addressed here. I mean, it's like a war zone.
Do you think recriminalizing drug use and possession will help your situation as a business owner downtown?
I think it will initially help it, but do I think it's really the help we need in the long run? I'm not sure. It's like we need to have a better path to recovery and a path where you're forced into recovery sometimes. You can't just keep committing, and then there's no repercussion to it. Like if you die in public, you should have to go to recovery.
Sure.
That should be like, that's my bottom line.
I think these people need treatment and help, and I think there's still a lot of hope for them. I just don't think open use is healthy by any means for anybody. I don't think you give up on people.
What has happened here since 2020 is insane. I have feelings for these people. I care. But at the same time, I pay taxes, a lot of money to be here, and we need to be able to run a business.
Are we witnessing the collapse of the United States of America?
Yeah, you know,
Think so?
It looks like it's happening right before our eyes.
How we deal with drug addiction needs to be completely different than the way we're doing it now. So that's sad.
We're going to try to figure it out. Everyone seems to be in pretty unanimous agreement that criminalizing homelessness and putting people in jail is probably not the solution, but decriminalizing it and facilitating enabling drug use is also probably not the solution. There's something a little bit more nuanced here. The solution's somewhere in the middle, it seems. But what do the local drug addicts think about the recriminalization of the drugs they use on a daily basis? I met up with local street photographer Tara, aka Cocaine Michelle, to talk with some of the addicts downtown. All right, take the lead.
Let's go across the street into the gates of Chinatown.
Seems like Chinatown in every city out here has a lot of drug use and homelessness.
If you want Portland back, do you?
Sure.
Great. Portland, Chinatown, that's the devil's playground.
But how much has the devil's playground changed since the last year I've been here? Has it gotten better or worse? Do you think it should be a crime to use drugs?
No, it saves lives.
If it was regulated, you know, that it would be clean, it would be dosed right, kind of like marijuana, and because people are going to do it anyway.
There's people that you never ever will, they never ever will quit using it unless they go to prison.
And the harm reduction you've seen out here that saves some lives, in your opinion?
I need to get with Governor Tina Kotek and put up 3 radio towers around the whole TriMet system map. It's a drop in her pocket. I want to get with the local 29 Iron Workers Union, get that up in the air for college radio. God forbid, natural disasters.
Think the apocalypse is impending?
No, man, I'm talking about like, you know, there's volcanic activity and stuff like that and earthquakes.
It seems to be same old Portland, but a little less densely populated with tents.
They get shuffled around.
So, for instance, I'm pretty certain I've talked to some people right here.
Pretty hot spot for drug use.
Question for you, sir. We're trying to talk to the public and figure out their thoughts on the recriminalization of drugs out here in Portland. What was your name?
I'm Jay.
Jay? I'm convinced we've met before.
Jay.
My name's Tyler, Jay. Good to meet you. Jay, what are you shooting up here? Xylazine? No.
Good old fashioned white meth.
I'm convinced I literally met you somewhere around here like 10 months ago.
Yeah, September when I was out there in front of Subway.
Okay.
I was fucking real sick. Matter of fact, a couple days before I wound up going back to the hospital, and they'd taken a couple of my toes, and yeah, so, you know, it's recriminalization. It never should have been decriminalized to begin with.
Okay.
It gives, you know, look what happened. When they did decriminalize it, they really didn't give it enough time to. They're just now getting these programs up and running.
Got it.
You had COVID going on. They didn't have the basis to decriminalize and get what they wanted out of all that. This is ridiculous what's going on out here.
Yeah.
And you could see the route the dope boy took from fucking overdose to overdose down through the block. You had one up here, you had one over here on this corner, you had one down there on the bottom corner. Fire department didn't even know which one to get first.
Do you carry Narcan with you out here?
No, I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
They want to fix this problem. Stop giving these kids Narcan.
Let them die?
The problem fixes itself.
That's interesting. That's a pretty Darwinian way to look at it. Here, have you seen people die on these streets?
In the last 3 years, I've seen well over 200 people that I know personally die from fentanyl overdose. It is.
What do you think can be done to save lives out here? Stop these deaths?
I don't know. I really don't.
Are harm reduction services handing out foil like they used to?
No, they don't.
Not anymore?
No, they say they don't really have any resources for anybody.
Okay. Ran out of money?
I don't know what their problem is.
Okay. Explain, actually, yeah.
Was completely full of tents like last week.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
It seems like I'm looking at familiar faces down there. They don't disappear. Some of them obviously die.
Yeah.
But it seems like one spot to the next to the next.
A drag. You know, I kind of think that Oregon should follow in the footsteps of some of these other countries that they've actually decriminalized a lot of stuff.
Portugal?
Yeah, Portugal, Sweden, you know, some of those countries over there. Send a group of people over there to check that stuff out. Quit checking out shit out here on the street because everybody's just going like this in circles chasing their tail. Go over there and just check it out and see how things went. And we could learn some stuff from maybe some of those countries that were able to do that.
I agree. But before I go to Portugal, I want to first teleport to Amsterdam. You see, people from all over the world come to Amsterdam to do drugs and have a good time doing them. I'm mainly talking about weed, cocaine, LSD, and ecstasy. But in the 70s, they experienced a heroin epidemic.
The master is heroin, and virtually everyone you see here comes to buy, sell, or use it. Nearby, junkies inject each other in broad daylight.
I've never seen anything that is as concentrated as this. I've never seen anything as open as this.
The problem has become so bad that police officials and politicians admit privately the battle is lost. The city of Amsterdam is slowly moving away from a policy of prohibition to one of accommodation.
Leading them to adopt harm reduction in the 80s at the height of the crisis, and were the first in the world to implement a safe needle and syringe exchange program. They were, at the time, the redheaded stepchild of drug policy in Europe, but now many look to Amsterdam as an example of drug policy done right, including a lot of Portland activists that fought for the decriminalization of drugs in the first place. Before I talk with some of the experts who explain their laws and why they believe they work, what do the locals here think about these laws, drug use, and if there are real problems with drug addiction and homelessness like you see in the States? Do you think they should sell heroin at coffee shops?
Nah, it's a little bit too far, I think.
What do you think?
I think everything from, marijuana, cocaine, sometimes in like places where you can control it,
Okay.
Yeah.
Use Molly and cocaine. Is it pretty easy to get your hands on out here?
Personally, I wouldn't know, but
Yeah, I'm not a Fed.
Yeah. I would never,
Oh, actually?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Actually? Despite Amsterdam being a known drug tourism hub with over 160 plus coffee shops, basically little weed dispensaries, it's important to realize that all drugs, including even weed, are illegal, yet possession of less than 5 grams of ganja was decriminalized as of 1976, and the use of other drugs like cocaine, hash, magic mushrooms, and ecstasy is mostly tolerated, and if you get caught by the police, they can confiscate them, but you won't get fined as long as it's in small amounts. Basically, recreational use warrants a slap on the wrist, if that. It's illegal, but people do it and no one cares. On top of that, Amsterdam also has drug testing labs where you can test the purity of the drugs you want to use to have a good time and get the results instantly. Did you come here to use drugs?
Yes.
So, like Molly?
Yes.
Anything else?
No. Once only.
Molly?
Yes.
Did you like it?
No, but because I am a runner. But too funny to try is okay. But in my opinion, it's bad.
Are you on Molly right now?
Yes.
Oh. Yet despite Amsterdam's extremely accepted relationship of drugs, you'd be hard-pressed to find a drug addict living in a tent outside or smoking fentanyl or heroin on the streets like you would in the US. But why?
I would say I don't do drugs, and I don't think they should be legal.
Yeah, me as well, actually.
For me, I think it's bad, especially for like the people that want to come here and like enjoy Amsterdam. But
people just high out of their minds out here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, ruins the purity of the experience out here a little bit?
Yes,
okay, what about you, man?
For me, it's fine, actually, but as I said before, it's not my opinion. I don't support that. But we also support freedom.
Do you need water?
No.
Oh, okay, you're good. So you're high right now?
Yes.
Oh, I know that.
How was your trip?
feel good right now?
Yes, now I use jam yesterday. Today I don't smoke, so I am okay, and it's not very strong the effect.
Hey, well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Want to give you a fist bump. Good to meet you.
Ciao, thank you.
Hi, ciao, see ya.
We have a mayor right now who wants to decriminalize soft drugs, marijuana, cocaine, party drugs, essentially. I think there's a lot of logistics that need to be figured out with decriminalizing them.
Why do you think the U.S. has such severe drug problems compared to the Netherlands or Amsterdam in this case?
Maybe a mentality of, a war against versus working with people here.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with the drugs.
Okay.
Everything can be legal, it's my opinion.
Do you guys have any big drug problems here in the Netherlands?
I don't think so. Maybe there is, in some places, there is a little bit more problems than other places. But
Sure. It's very clean. Very few people seem to be on the streets dying. We'll start off with what drugs, if any, do you think should be legal, if any?
Antibiotics, mild painkillers, muscle relaxants, antihypertensives.
Maybe, some of them definitely should be legal, but not all of them. Maybe light drugs like weed or, I don't know.
Like some
mushrooms, yeah, or something.
What are your thoughts on, let's say, heroin?
It should be illegal, I think, because it destroys people's lives. So
Most cardiac meds, anti-seizure meds, insulin.
Oh, wow. All right. You got a full list.
I'm a nurse.
Okay. Let's talk about, OxyContin, fentanyl. Those are medically...
They're narcotics. Would I want them legalized? They are legal in the U.S. with a prescription. I would assume it's the same here.
Let's say it was legal, regulated, safe. Would that be better for a society or group of people that already is addicted to it and dying off of it?
As a paramedic, fentanyl should never be legalized.
Okay.
It's a killer. Now, marijuana, yes.
What about fentanyl? Fentanyl.
I don't really know what this is.
Okay, that's crazy.
Fentanyl. I don't even know what that is, Labelle.
Really? Where are you guys from?
The UK. Like Leeds.
And you guys are high right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, on weed?
Yeah.
Do you guys think anything harder than weed should be legal?
Like what, though? Like heroin?
Let's say like coke, heroin, ecstasy.
Well, not coke, because coke's like aggressive, gets you like aggressive in it, so probably maybe psychedelics.
Yeah.
I think anti-abortion stuff has shown that, yes, you can ban things, but banning it only pushes it underground and makes it more expensive and more dangerous.
Let me ask you this then. Should fentanyl be legal without a prescription, let's say?
I'm going to say no.
Take the head off the snake.
Okay.
And you have to go to the source where it's coming from and get rid of the source.
Obliterate the cartel, obliterate these manufacturing plants.
That would be wonderful if we could.
Do you guys have any drug problems here in Amsterdam?
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Lots of shit.
Yeah.
Especially the tourists.
A lot of drug tourism?
Yeah.
What do they do here?
Nothing. Just do drugs. They don't spend money on good food, only on drugs.
I see. Do you guys think most recreational drugs that aren't, let's say, heroin or maybe even coke should be legalized?
No.
Do you think ecstasy should be legal?
I just did it once, twice. It was good, but I personally have a friend who it started like this once per week, and then it was literally every day or every 2 days. He lost control. In just 2-3 months, he became an addict. In the beginning, I say no, everybody can be safe from that, but then with the time pass and you see the reactions, the excuses, the eyes.
What drugs do you think should be legal, if any?
Should be legal, and mushrooms, and marijuana.
Marijuana, that's it. Anything harder than that?
I don't think so.
Would you ever do cocaine?
No, that's madness.
Would you ever do Molly?
No. The best solution for all these problems is to allow people more or less to use. But the problem is became bigger and bigger. It's going to be a health issue. And not only in Amsterdam.
I don't want to put you in a spot here. I'm not a Fed either. Where do people get their drugs if they're not buying off the streets out here?
Other people.
I personally, I don't really do drugs.
I don't do drugs. I'm against drugs.
Legalising, Chris.
It's a radio, you muppet.
I know people who do, obviously, and you just get people's phone numbers, social medias.
I've seen like the Telegram group chats too. You pay with the Bitcoin. I don't know if that's a scam, but
yeah, there's ways.
Yeah.
Well, if this is the American market, then give people safe needles.
Okay.
For free. Condoms for free. Abortion for free.
What drugs do you think should be legal, if any?
I think they've done well with the legalization of cannabis here, how you can only smoke it in certain places and, you're not allowed to smoke it out in public, that sort of thing.
So you think the coffee shops are a pretty good idea?
I think they're a good idea because it sort of provides a safe place to do them, and so you're not, getting them from dodgy people. I think other drugs, when you start going into harder stuff, can start to get a bit dangerous. I think they've hit the nail on the head here, to be honest, with the rules and the laws around drugs.
Were you here during the heroin crisis in the 70s?
I was in the small street there, Dam Street. There was a student bar. I was a bouncer there. I had to fight the junkies. They came inside our pub, and then they asked for a coffee. And then you wait 5 minutes, and suddenly you saw they went to the toilet, and the spoon of the coffee was gone.
Okay.
So you knew what was going on.
Of course.
I've been attacked by them with knives, and
you were pretty buff back then?
Yeah.
Would you linebacker tackle them or what?
No, I grabbed them, lift them up, and walked them out and put them on the street.
What do you think solved the heroin crisis back then? Why don't I see many drug addicts on the streets out here today?
Well, we got the special. They get needles and places where they can safely inject.
I see.
I think that if you have replacement things, which also give you a nice boost, you can easily quit the heavy ones, and also the
like methadone, Suboxone.
Yeah, methadone is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
I think all with all, many countries follow the Dutch approach.
What advice do you have for the United States to reduce the opioid overdose deaths?
Give everybody who is in jail for weed, for soft drugs, freedom again, immediately. The country with 330 million people walking around, the big 10 cities around California, in California, like Los Angeles, like people sleep on the streets. What the fuck? We
got more weed. Weed. Off to the red light district we go. More wisdom shall be found. And while I was trying to interview some people in the red light district, I walked up to this dude. He asked me if I wanted to buy some ecstasy. So I asked him if I could interview him. He saw the camera and began freaking out.
Hey, don't play, I tell you already.
How we doing? What do you got for sale? MDMA?
Hey, I tell you bullshit. That's not with me, bro.
Oh, you, man.
Hey, I tell you already, give me.
Alright, so we got this drug dealer trying to sell me MDMA. He's tweaking on me right now, and he kicked me like a little soccer player. You, ma'am. Alright, we're getting out of here. Goober tried to sell me some ecstasy. I denied. I can't believe he kicked me. So in search of confirming or denying the reality that drug addicts living on the streets using hard drugs in public here in Amsterdam was near impossible, I pulled up to what used to be the drug epicenter of Amsterdam in the 70s and 80s that used to be rampant with drug use and crime. We're in the Zeedijk neighborhood. In the 70s, this place was the epicenter of the heroin crisis. A big open-air drug market was right here. Now, not the case. This place is clean, freshly gentrified, nice, decent, solid neighborhood, which goes to show a neighborhood can in fact be recovered. Think of the Skid Rows, the Tenderloins out there. It's not over. It's nice out here. But why? What did they do to fix it? How was it saved? So I met up with Dennis Leahy, director of MDHG, an organization committed to helping drug users, homeless people, and is pushing for the legalization of all drugs. One of your guys' mission statements is to decriminalize most drugs in Netherlands, or what?
Well, the idea is legalize all drugs.
Okay.
Prohibition isn't working. With every product you have, whether it's legal or it's illegal, you have to deal with production, distribution, and consumption. And drugs have always been there. It's a fact of life that people use drugs, even animals use drugs.
With that being said, I want to zoom us back in time to the 80s and talk about the heroin crisis here in Amsterdam. Tell me, how did Amsterdam come to this heroin crisis?
Yeah, I was in the 70s.
Okay.
First of all, Amsterdam was the middle of the earth at that time. A lot of hippies went to Amsterdam. There was already a lot of experimentation with drugs, with LSD, with cannabis, with hash, and stuff like that. Some of the main causes are that drugs coming to New York from China through Marseille, and that chain was shut down. And they moved it to Amsterdam. At the time, Suriname became independent. In former times, it was a colony of the Netherlands. So a lot of Suriname people came to the Netherlands because they could get a passport, but didn't get the proper job. We had American soldiers who came back from Vietnam and started traveling around Europe and finding a place in Amsterdam. So all these different factors came together and get out of that situation. People cry out for help, start helping them.
And how did you guys do that in the 70s?
First of all, of course it was illegal, but we as an organization didn't reach out to people thinking, oh, you're doing something illegal, so we're going to punish you or stuff like that. No, we want to help you. I've seen a lot of people being addicted to heroin or base coke for 20, 25 years, never ever going to quit. And we started helping them with their financial problems, with psychiatric problems, with housing. Great start. Make sure people sleep inside and have their own place. And then they had all this together, and then they started figuring out, why do I even use drugs? Well, we started thinking about the drug markets themselves. One of the things, of course, was that we started with the coffee shops. Separating cannabis from all the different drug markets was a very good thing to do. But we already started with the coffee shops themselves, having legal distribution points for cannabis, making the consumption legal. People who want to experiment with drugs already got the message from, there's a big difference between heroin and cannabis. So if you want to experiment with drugs and you go to a coffee shop, people who were shooting heroin at the time, they shared their needles. At that time, hepatitis B was a big problem. Exchanging the needles, people would get hepatitis B. Started a program in which people can get easy access to needles, so they didn't have to exchange that anymore.
Dennis's core belief is that the heroin was available regardless. Therefore, giving it to those who are going to use it no matter what in a legally and regulated way would then undercut and destroy the black markets, decrease profit incentive for the dealers, and cause users to avoid using potentially dirty, laced heroin sold on the streets. I met up with Hans from Legalize, who believes legalizing heroin and giving it to the addicts for free was an obvious choice for Amsterdam. And what do you do here?
I do many things in the realm of drug policy here.
Okay.
It should be said, many of them died.
Okay.
Yeah. They all stopped injecting.
Okay.
Yeah, because we found out that smoking is much better for your health than injecting it. And we did give them clean syringes, which was a great way to contact them and then tell them like, hey, how are you doing? And,
do you think if they were forced into some forcible rehabilitation, they would have survived?
We saw most people die after they came out of prison, and you can't keep them in prison for their whole life for consuming something that they want.
How did they die?
It does happen that if people come out of jail, they overdose really quick.
They just are excited to get back to the drug and get straight
they
into it?
overdose quite quickly, and they go deeper than they've ever been. From there, we started with the experiment together with Switzerland to give away free heroin, and due to its success, it's now a full program that you just saw the front door of.
So tell me about Housing First. What is Housing First, and do you think it's a good or bad thing?
Housing First is a great thing. I think if you don't have a house, then you live a very bad situation, very unhealthy.
Do you believe someone addicted to heroin, let's say, could maintain a home if it were given to them? So that's not in conflict with the drug addiction or the habit. That's a common belief in the States, at least.
I really wonder why that is.
The idea of not giving these people free housing, food, and whatever else they needed was entirely foreign to the Dutch mind. For Amsterdam, hardcore drug addiction was a health problem and not so much an act of criminality or laziness like how many view it in the United States.
One thing you need to understand about drug crises is that the people who come to the MDG, for example, they have a lot of problems. About 90 to 95% of the people who come to us use the drug as a form of self-medication. It's because of sexual abuse. Fathers who've been beating them up, working in a system as a child already in youth care. Those are the problems you need to do something with. When you're dealing with a drug crisis, it's not the drug crisis, it's the people's crisis.
Do you think involuntary rehabilitation or forced rehabilitation is a solution to someone addicted to a hard drug on the streets?
No, it doesn't work. Your target should be getting people a good life. We have a lot of members who are still using drugs on a very regular basis, and they lead a good life, and the drug use helps them to have an ordinary life. I think that should be your target. And you can see if you help people get a better life, then the drug problems will go down. One of the reasons why people don't improve their situation is because nobody's ever nice to them. And if nobody's ever nice to you, why do you want to walk the path with those people?
Sure.
I've had people crying just because they went into us and said, "You're doing nice to me."
Human kindness is lacking in a lot of these organizations and governments, and you're tearing up a little bit. You're getting emotional on me.
Yes, of course.
At the you think people are leaving people behind when it comes to drug use? People see these drug users and say these people are trash and they don't deserve help.
Course.
Yeah,
that's the word, junk.
Junkie, right?
We call people junk. These people have been through such a lot why they started self-medication. And then as a system, we react on with punishment and spitting at them and stuff like that.
And then it's almost like it aggravates the drug problem. These people continue to look down upon them and they continue to self-medicate even harder. And so what if I'm a drug consumer and I say, my answer and what I want is to use more drugs until I die? Would there be a world where I'm involuntarily rehabilitated?
So, you know, there's not a single person is the same. So it's quite difficult to oversee this situation. So we will put a net of safeguarding around this person and give him his dose of heroin or whatever he says he needs. With that, he will be able to control his own problem and we will help him with that.
It's legally distributed by the municipality, and the people who are in the program do that on a legal basis. In many cases, these are people who have been addicted to heroin for a long time, have been trying to stop, but that didn't work out. So now they can go to the municipality and get legal heroin twice a day. This works great.
What is this right here?
We call this the heroin facility. This is where people who have their habits of heroin consumption, we give them free heroin, medicinal grade heroin, and we give them like housing. We look what they need in their life. With that, we tackle the whole opiate crisis that we had here in the 80s. 3 of these places existing, but only 2 of them also provide heroin, and the third one also provides methadone. In the 80s, when we started, there were 15,000 people only in the night place where they gave it away, and now there are only 15. So 1/5 are just left of this group. Our average age of opiate consumer is now 54, which is bizarre, and every 5 years the average age goes up 4 years.
And does that just mean the current drug addicts are still aging and
Yes.
still using heroin? There's not a new market for those heroin users.
Hardly, no. The program is such a big success that it almost collapses under its success. We need to keep that open because it does help. Problems if you close them down are much bigger because it's free. You know, no one can.
There's no profit incentive.
There's no
Promote it
profit
to sell,
incentive.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that pushes people to go on the streets and sell coke and MDMA is what I see around the red light district.
Yeah, if you want to buy fake drugs, just powder,
okay,
just do that.
First of all, they got their life back together.
By getting the heroin?
By getting the heroin, because if you know you're getting your heroin, you don't have to chase heroin anymore.
I see.
And you know, okay, the rest of the day I don't have to steal things to get money to buy new heroin.
They're not resorting to less than desirable behavior. They're not selling their bodies or something they don't want to do to get this drug.
Well, second of all, they get good heroin. I'm not encouraging anyone to try heroin.
Sure.
Let's make that for sure.
I get that.
But good, pure heroin isn't that bad as people think it is, because the problem with heroin is it's not just heroin, it's mixed with all kinds of stuff. If you have financial problems and chasing heroin, you don't have a refrigerator with good food.
Sure.
You don't go to sleep on a regular basis. So that's why we in Amsterdam have very, very few heroin users, because it's not interesting to start selling it.
What are some lessons the United States can take from the Netherlands as it relates to drug policy?
The best lesson would be, let's work together on legalizing and regulating drugs instead of fighting drugs. Because when you're fighting drugs, you're fighting people. And you're helping the corruption of the system. Because of the fentanyl crisis, there could become something good out of it. Namely, that you will find out that prohibition isn't working.
And you also destroyed the criminal underground black market.
I find what happened in Oregon mega interesting. I have not been there.
They're recriminalizing it.
I hate that word. I am afraid that the recriminalization is due to the fact that there has been made some really bad policy. Because yes, if we would throw heroin for free, just make a sign, get heroin for free, that would not work. So we have this in a special program, which is the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, are mega precise. And we have this whole network of harm reduction, social work, everything around that. In order to keep it safe, we continuously are debating, are we doing it right? How could we do better, etc., etc. And we are putting that in practice.
What do you think they were missing in Portland?
I heard some extra money went into harm reduction, but I think you should divert all your assets towards harm reduction. Work against poverty and social inequity and things like that. People want to be part of the society and make them part of it. And of course, there are always people who can't work, who have a double diagnose, AAA, so help them out. And these people will always be there. And as a society, the quality of your society, I think, is based on how you treat the people who are marginalized.
Okay. Yeah. And by criminalizing that and stigmatizing the use, do you think it only pushes people into the darker corners of society to use these drugs anyways?
You ask me if I think that, but I think that's proven.
But while all of these drugs are still technically illegal if they're being used for non-medicinal purposes in Amsterdam, Portugal has gone balls to the wall and decriminalized all drugs across the entire country since 2001. So what does a country that's decriminalized drugs for the last 20 plus years look like compared to what I just saw in Portland? And more importantly, what did the locals here think about Portugal's unique drug policy? I headed to Portugal's capital city of Lisbon to find out. This is where my great-great-grandfather fled after hitting a man in the head with a rock. And my cousin also visited Portugal and got hit by a bus. So there's some dark lore here.
Descriminalizar.
See.
No, bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yes.
Why?
Drugs is prejudicial for life, my friend.
Oh, drogas.
¿No quieres drogas?
Hey. Oi. ¿Qué es tu problema? ¿Qué es tu problema?
Drogas leves, drogas pesadas, tudo depende. Leves, ok, pesadas, depende.
¿Qué es tu problema? Oi. ¿Bien o no?
Eu acho que não.
No?
Não.
¿Muchas drogas aquí en Portugal o no?
Muitas.
Ok. ¿Problema grande aquí?
Sim, problema
Sí.
grande.
Descriminalizar as drogas aqui é uma má ideia? Drogas.
No, that's a bad idea. We don't like that in Portugal here. We don't like.
Don't like it?
No, we don't like it.
Why is it a bad idea?
Because drogas make something bad in healthy and make you lose your mind.
Okay.
So that is bad for healthy, man.
Eu acho que é uma má ideia. Acho que sim.
Okay. Gracias. Man, I wish we spoke Portuguese.
I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah? More safe for the users and the public?
Yeah, for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay.
Bien o no? Legales. ¿Sí? ¿Qué es la droga de prefiero en los streets?
Cocaína branca e xaxi.
¿Qué es tu prefiero?
Branca.
Não, é uma boa ideia.
Okay, bueno.
Péssima ideia. Muito má ideia. Droga faz mal à saúde, nunca pode ser legalizada, certo?
Oh, yo, there's our boy. Yo, mi amigo. There he is. He's climbing buildings now. To be fair, I've only seen the one guy who was climbing the tower earlier. Beyond that, I've seen two people that are homeless on the streets in massive major tourist area. I think that'd be tough to find in the U.S. Muy mala idea?
Acho que é uma má ideia.
Sim?
É uma ideia.
Pô, a droga faz mal. Nós somos jovens e como jovens não podemos aderir à droga.
Estraga a vida das pessoas.
Porque dependendo da droga, pra mim faz muita diferença. As pessoas vão viciar e pra mim droga não é bom em nenhum sentido, nem liberar nem não liberar.
Do you think people should go to jail for using drugs out here?
No.
That's too harsh?
Yeah.
It should be legalized, let's say. I mean, why not? It doesn't endanger anyone, so why not?
What about like fentanyl?
That's very bad. That's very bad. That shouldn't be legal. Okay. That's very dangerous for...
A little weed, pretty good.
Yeah.
¿Qué drogas es mal?
Cocaína, crack, heroína, LSD.
It seemed like the broader public here was surprisingly somewhat mixed in their opinion of decriminalizing anything beyond what they called soft drugs like weed, while at the same time not quick to think that jail time was a solution for hard drug use or addiction. So I met up with Dr. João Goulão, National Drug Coordinator for Portugal, who's credited as the architect for Portugal's drug policy established in 2000 that controversially decriminalized drug use and provided harm reduction and a more health-based strategy and approach to drug addiction. Places like Oregon and Vancouver looked at the work Dr. João did here in Portugal as inspiration for decriminalizing drugs. But what led Dr. João to the conclusion that decriminalizing drugs would help, and did cities like Portland miss anything in translation along the way?
And cities like Portland and the U.S. have modeled your guys' drug policy. You're the godfather of the drug policy a lot of people are following, right?
I was part of a committee that was nominated by the government back in the 90s to build the first national strategy that included decriminalization, which is by far the most known component of that strategy. But I must say that our strategy is far much more than that.
What was going on here in Portugal that led you guys to take some unprecedented measures?
If you agree, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. The drugs problems in Portugal exploded later than in most European countries. We were dealing with a colonial war, and almost our young male population was sent there to serve as soldiers, mostly against their will. And a little bit like the Americans in Vietnam, drug use down there was tolerated or even incentivized. So most of those kids developed some habits of using substances, and they came back after the revolution. They brought, of course, their habits. So we had an explosion on experimentation. Heroin became very, very popular. So in just a matter of a decade, during the 80s, we had a huge number of people injecting. It was difficult to find a Portuguese family that had no problems related to drugs. We had a quite important number of overdoses, criminality as well. The way our society addressed those problems was mostly based in the idea that we were dealing with a health issue rather than a criminal one. We started by the end of the 80s, during the 90s, we developed a quite solid network of treatment centers to address and to offer treatment to all those in need, harm reduction responses as well, such as syringe and needle exchange, shelters, and decided to invite a group of people, a group of experts. We built a document, the first national strategy for the fight against drugs, that included some recommendations on the supply side, but mostly on the demand side. Prevention, treatment, harm reduction, reintegration of people. Everything based in the idea that we were dealing with a health issue, and accordingly we proposed the decriminalization of use. So the strategy is from 1999. The decriminalization was approved in 2000. Problematic user, an addicted person, you will probably be invited to join a treatment facility. The person will be evaluated by health personnel in order to identify the needs.
And can they refuse?
Yes, you can.
Let's say I would say, like, I don't want any services, let me do my drugs. What if I said that to the court?
The commission will say, okay, do as you wish, but please do not come here for the same reason in the next, let's say, 6 months, 1 year.
What if I did?
We'll have to apply you some kind of penalty. Problematic users, for addicted people, the penalty is never a fine. It's the work is mostly of motivating people. What about if we get you an appointment for a treatment center for next week? Most of the people accept.
Meaning, let's say you're caught doing some heroin on the street, your heroin would get confiscated, and you would then show up to a meeting at the Commission for the Dissuasion of Drug Addiction.
You guys introduced this commission concept. So this is more or less an interview with a psychiatrist, a social worker, and an attorney?
Yeah, it's normally, it happens in this room, actually.
Okay.
It's, for us to start the procedure, we need a police report saying that someone was caught in the possession of an illicit substance for personal usage, regardless of what the substance is.
Okay.
From cannabis to heroin, cocaine, MDMA, whatever. and they will do a risk assessment to determine if that person should be considered a recreational user or a drug addict. And if it's an high-risk situation, basically means drug addict. I would like to stress out the proposal part because it's non-mandatory. It has to be voluntarily accepted by the person.
So what if I come in here, this is maybe my third time at the commission, I continue to get caught using a drug, let's say, I'm deteriorating, maybe I've overdosed multiple times, I've died a few times, been brought back with some Narcan, and I say, I don't want any of your help, leave me alone. What is your guys' next step?
Well, in those cases, we can apply sanctions, and normally in that particular case, although the cases are individually assessed and individually decided.
So it's my understanding a lot of these people agree to help in some form, right? What percentage would you say agree to some form of rehabilitation or assistance getting back to their feet if it's a serious problem?
I would say around 80%, 85% of the people that we suggest any sort of referral, they normally accept that referral. Since it's non-mandatory, we have to take the extra step to try and motivate or convince the person that it can actually benefit them in any way, that referral. Decriminalizing only solves one problem, which is the criminal record problem. But as a diversion scheme, you need not only inputs, which for us it's the police report saying that someone was caught, but you also need to bear in mind the outputs. And the outputs is the suggestions for referrals that we do. And so for that you need a structure like the Dissuasion Commission.
This is the complete package. I insist in the idea that decriminalization is just a part of it.
One piece of the puzzle.
One piece. All the pieces are, on one side, decriminalization with the dissuasion system, okay? And then we have prevention, treatment, harm reduction, reintegration of people, and supply reduction.
It's not a crime, it's a health crisis. That's the paradigm shift?
Yes, that's it.
This shift in perspective of viewing drug addiction as a health crisis rather than a criminal one, in combination with the police, psychiatrists, social workers working together rather than individually to help these drug addicts seems to work quite well. In addition to decriminalizing drug use, providing harm reduction, and restricting privileges if you refuse to receive treatment, Portugal also has safe consumption sites where people can use drugs safely with the goal of preventing overdose deaths and open-air public drug use. I headed to Casal Ventoso, a rough area known for drug users and traffickers, to see how it works.
Your first day you're going to Casal Ventoso.
Why is that bad?
It's very bad.
¿Por qué?
It's very dangerous. Have drugs, the people send drugs, have guns.
Oi. Oi. Oh, lo siento. Lo siento. Video por mi familia.
And we're at a consumption site right here.
Yes.
Let's check it out.
We test substance in partnership with another association named the Cosmic Care.
Okay.
They come here and the clients that want to know what they are using have the chance to check the drugs.
Okay, so safe testing.
Heroin, you go inside, and crack cocaine, you go inside. But if you want to smoke marijuana, you can be there.
Okay. Fentanyl?
No, because in Portugal we don't have fentanyl.
Okay.
At least yet. But
I don't like that last part.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what's up.
We are not allowed to bring any material from outside because we don't know if it's sterilized or not. We're going to sign this document. This document allowed us to act in any case of overdose or any case
It's
of
a liability waiver?
it allowed us to act, to give naloxone and all the procedures that are necessary to revert any overdose situations.
So what's going on right here?
The most used substance here are crack cocaine and heroin, both
So
consumption.
they're watching me as I shoot up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if you need help or
And let's say I OD, would they be the ones to come out?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Avoid any kind of emergency situations, overdose, deaths by overdose.
So the assumption is they're going to use already, might as well use safely?
Yes, they are going to use, so it's better to use in a safe place with dignity, with a team that can act in any case of emergency. Yeah, you have 2 needles, all the material that you need to do a safer consumption.
Everything I need.
Everything you
I don't
need.
have to pay for it?
No, nothing.
Okay.
For example, if they are going to use an amount that is higher than they used to use, we talk with them and educate them to not to do. Because
So I would say, hey, I'm looking to up my dosage today.
Yes.
Can you guys monitor me a little bit more
we
closely than usual?
we can talk a little bit. I can explain to you the risks that you are taking, and we are prepared to act. He's an educator.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a nurse.
Hi. So you guys go in there when, let's say, someone's ODing. Would you come out of this room and see what's going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Got it. So safe injection, safe smoking,
Yes.
marijuana zone, free everything to use.
Yes.
How many people do you guys service per day, roughly?
I have per day about 300 entries
Whoa.
in the space.
Significant.
Yeah.
Is this a private, public institution? Is this funded by the government? What is this?
Funded by the government.
Okay.
8% and 20% by the City Council of Lisbon.
Okay. So this is
Okay.
Lisbon investing in their community. We want to
Yeah.
make sure our users are safe.
Here they can take shower.
Oh,
Here
wow.
they can socialize, they can watch TV, they can read a book, they can do activities, they can access the internet. Everything that we have here is from donation. So we have this donation and then we give back to our clients because 25% of our population is homeless right now, and so it's very needed items for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a full service stop here.
Yes, because it's very important to give to them not only the access to the drug consumption rooms, but the other needs that they have.
Do you think this consumption side has saved a lot of lives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like the first door to go back to the system. Many of them do not have ID, for example. It's not like they are not part of our society. So give us the chance to be closer to them and understand their needs and try to work individually with them.
Do you think that Portland, for example, was missing any ingredients to this recipe?
I think there was not enough time, in fact. And secondly, we try to take care of this person in all components of his life, and to drive and to guide this person through the system. We do not give him or her just a piece of paper with some phone numbers. If you need help, just call this.
I see.
No, we take charge of these people.
Well, I think they missed a few steps.
Can you tell me those steps?
Well, one of them was the non-apprehension of the substance.
Okay.
For example, that gives the wrong message to everyone. You're saying someone that it's illegal to have this substance in their possession, but then when a police officer finds you with that, he doesn't take it from you. So, does that make sense?
No.
I think the worst thing Oregon did was closing it down after 2 years.
Interesting.
Give it some time, and you will need some evaluation, and you will need to eventually take a step back, to take 2 steps forward, and so on. So I think was just too rash. And the fentanyl problem that you have in Oregon, it's not because you decriminalize drug usage.
As a scapegoat?
As an excuse for everything that was happening.
I see.
And if you look into other states that didn't decriminalize but has the same situation going on,
New York, California.
exactly. If the same thing is happening in different places,
Sure.
but you don't have that same cause,
Sure.
it's probably not because it's not that thing that it's causing those things, right? So if I can say it was a triumph of politics over policy,
I see.
it's what it is, and it's one of the reasons why I think our system in Portugal actually worked, was because we were able to come up with a policy and leave the politics out of it.
Is this something that any country could apply in some fashion?
It could be done. Doable everywhere in the world. It might not be in the same way as we did because the legal framework is different, the culture is different, the healthcare system is different. So you might have to adapt things, but it's doable anywhere in the world.
Okay.